Miller here. By phone.
No, are they? One of them was open? Or are they purposely doing that? Oh! So it's all, it's like all orchestrated. Oh, yeah. Why do they have to order that? I'm on that call.
Can I ask everyone to please mute your microphones? Thank you.
Hi, Julie.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Thank you. This is Mayor
Yes.
Rich Mays. I'm gonna call the special city council meeting of October 28th, 2020 to order. And at this point, I would like to ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
Linda Miller,
Present.
Darcy Long Curtis,
Present.
Tim McLaughlin,
Present.
Rod Runyon,
Present.
Scott Randall,
Present.
Mayor Mays.
Present. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
This is
Miller
Rand.
moves to approve.
I heard Linda and Rod, I believe. Linda, you
Miller
want to make the
moves to
motion?
approve. Miller moved to approve the agenda as presented.
This is Randall. I second.
Thank you, Scott. It's been moved by Councilor Miller and seconded by Councilor Randall to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor of approving the agenda, please say aye.
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 Is there any noes? Thank you very much. The agenda has been approved. We'll now move to action items. Resolution 20-025 relating to homelessness and public health crisis, and directing the city manager to work collaboratively with any necessary parties toward providing a temporary warming shelter. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to the city manager for a staff report. Julie?
Thank you, Mayor Mays. I really don't have a staff report so much as the title of the resolution kind of covers it, that the purpose of this meeting and adopting the resolution is to allow me to work with all of the parties necessary to put our temporary shelters in place. And that's the crux of the whole thing. And if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about the resolution or about the program? Any city councilor?
I'll raise my hand, Rod. We're not going to do this, the rules part today, but just to put on the record that I assume Julie will be putting together a committee or something to put together some kind of rules and regulations for operation of the facility. So I look forward to that as we get it in place and so forth. I've contacted commissioner friends of mine from Lane County that operate 3 more permanent type shelters to have them send me some of the guidelines they use and whatnot, and I'll pass those on when I receive them, because you have to, without some kind of rules and whatnot and monitoring, you have chaos. So we want to make sure this works well and takes care of the need that we've envisioned.
Thank you, Councilor Runyon. I believe that Councilor Long Curtis has already been working on all of the program rules. And so as soon as everything gets finalized, we can provide a copy to the city council.
Exactly. I think we've all, been doing pieces here and there on our own as we do our research and whatnot. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Is there any other city councilor that has any questions or comments?
Miller would like to know where this is going to be located.
Councilor Miller, the location for this is the right-of-way right at the corner of Bargeway Road where it makes a left turn behind the Public Works Department. There's a flat gravel area there next to Northwest Natural. That's the location.
Okay, I drove by it yesterday. And I think it's a good location.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Miller. Any other city councilor has any comments or questions?
I have a couple of verbiage questions within the resolution itself, but I can wait for that.
Our city attorney, Jonathan Cara, is here in the meeting with me, and I'm sure he'd be happy to provide any explanations that you need.
So you want to go forward
Why
with that
don't
now?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. On the very first page of the 5, the very last whereas talks about the large number of individuals. If we're a town of, I was doing some research today, and we're a town of somewhere in the neighborhood of 16,000 people. 1% would be 160. Half of that would be 80. A fourth of 1% would be 40. And I've been hearing somewhere 20 to 30 individuals are affected, and that goes up and down a little bit. But I would just like to strike those 3 words, large numbers of, because I think that's open to interpretation and is really unnecessary.
You want to respond to
Yeah.
that?
So thank you, Councilor. I hear what you're saying. If the words tend to be ambiguous in that sense, I have no problem clarifying exactly what the council's intent is with this resolution. I see no problem with us striking those words, or if you prefer, we can add in some context to qualify them to make some sense of relevancy, because large numbers of individuals is taken as a global number as opposed to a relativistic number. If you'd like it to be more relativistic to the situation that's happening in the Dalles, we can also do that. So it's up to you at that point. We can strike it, or we can add some qualifying language, making it.
Either way is fine. I just wanted to point that out. The other thing that in my research of other places and so forth around the state, most of them do not allow children. We've used the word families in here at least 3 times, and I can't imagine that we would be allowing children to be in any kind of an encampment that we support, because we have no way of really knowing the types of individuals that are going to be there on a daily basis without going into great detail. You all know that. So using the word families implies a different set of values than I'd just like to see that. It's an adult situation. There are places in our community for people that have families, Salvation Army, St. Vincent de Paul, that help out in those areas as well as others. So that would be a concern as far as that goes. And those are the 2 major things that I saw in there that might get us into a bind one way or another. I see that we've gone to April 1st as a deadline, and it's probably fine getting through the month of March. It's usually cold in this area around the month of March, but it is good to have a deadline. It is a temporary camp, and I know our city manager will get that all squared away as to what will happen and how they'll be moved and so forth when the time comes.
Counselor Runyon, that comment you made about the family issue, which whereas clause was that?
Oh, there's one that's not really, it's more general on first page. There's another one on, let's see here, page 3 under C and D. And, it's just giving an implication there that I don't think we're really prepared to handle families per se, meaning children.
In the interest of getting this resolution passed today, is it something you'd like to amend the resolution as far as that reference to families goes, or are you willing to live with it with the understanding that your comment will be on the record?
In each case, it's and families, and yeah, I would recommend that we delete that phrase. Doesn't mean that we can't, but we don't want to put ourselves in a situation where we have to.
Okay, does any member of the city council have a problem with deleting Councilor Runyon's first concern which has to do with the large number of individuals, and striking that, and striking the 2 or 3 references to families in the resolution. Does anybody have a problem doing that?
Yeah, I have a question for Jonathan Cara about the second half of that.
Sure.
So in this resolution, aren't the whereas clauses just to state what is actually going on in our community, not specifically what is happening? And then when you get back down to the therefore let it be resolved, that's what's actually going to happen. So the whereas clause are just explaining what is currently happening in the Dalles and why this is an emergency situation.
Councilor Long Curtis. So you are correct. In general, the recitals to a resolution or any piece of legislation tend to provide the context through which the council, or in this case the council, but in general any governing body, tends to provide them the context with which they're supposed to make their decision. In this case, the decision before you is whether or not to adopt this resolution. And the information with which you should be relying on in making that determination are these recitals, which tend to, as you can probably gather just by reading it, start very broad, giving the entire council an idea of the situation that we're talking about, and narrowing it down to the very instances of the ramifications of the situation in the city of the Dalles. To the extent that recitals are part of the resolution, they are not, but they are the entire record of your decision making. So in cases where we have mentions of the word families, and if those mentions are in the recitals, they're not part of the resolution, but they're there to provide context and to support the record. Although the word families does appear in the resolution, which does appear after the now therefore resolving clause. And the word families does appear on first glance in section 4, part C, relating to the definition of the term City of the Dalles homeless population. The inclusion of the word families in the recitals doesn't have any influence on the effect of the law, which is the second part of your question. But the inclusion of the word families in section 4, part C of the resolution does. And also in D, and it may appear elsewhere. This is the first I've heard of this particular issue. I did write this, but I will look through it. And if the council's intent is to remove any of that qualifying language to include families, that's a very easy fix. We can strike it here on the record, and the document that you sign, the official document, will have those omitted.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
My
Mr. Counselor.
my point was these are really just questions that I had and my feeling behind the question. And again, as I said, the one on page 1 is more in general and a whereas, but I agree with the attorney on the resolve, be it resolved by the city council section starting on page 3. Those two are in that area, a little different. It's just my feeling that what we're trying to do is find a place for adults to go on a temporary basis to help out, and I'm all for that. We found a good location. I just don't want to put us into any kind of a corner. We can always come back and add things to our resolution easier than it is to take them out. If somebody came at us with some sort of action because we wouldn't let, these children come in with their parents, that kind of thing. It's a temporary shelter. That's all.
So you're willing to live with
If everybody else is good with it, then, that's fine. I just wanted it on the record.
okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions by city council members? Okay, at this point, we've had a lot of public interest in this issue. I think we had close to 50 people the other night. I think we have around 30 today. So I'm going to allow some limited number of questions and comments from members of the public if they'd like to weigh in. Is there anybody that would like to speak for a limited amount of time on the issue of this resolution? I don't see or hear anybody. I see one, Brianna Wimber, Brianna.
Hi there. I was trying to hit my unmute button. Sorry about that. I just had some basic questions about the location and about the scope of the job. And I know that you guys don't have everything ironed out, but I was just hoping to kind of get a an overview of, so providing housing, will the basic needs be met there? Will there be bathrooms and running water at this location?
City manager, go ahead, Julie.
Thank you, Mayor Mays. The city is basically providing what I call the infrastructure for this program. And then the program itself will not be operated by the city, although we'll help in any way we can. So right now, the plan is that the city provides the site, portable toilets, a dumpster for the trash, electricity. And then it is my understanding, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, that people who are using those shelters will still have access to St. Vincent de Paul to use their shower facilities and laundry facilities. We wouldn't have like a hand washing station out there because likely the water would freeze. So we'll provide sanitation, but not water.
I see.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
then-
Is there
I
Go
have
ahead.
one more question on that. So in the instance of you have more people of interest than you have spots for, will there be camping allowed overnight at this location for any overflow?
No, this location is only for the portable units that we're getting.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your questions and interest, Brianna. Anybody else? Okay, hearing and seeing,
Rich,
yes.
this is Tanya Brumley with Northwest Natural. I just have a comment for record, I guess, is what I would like to say, since I've talked to several people with the city, which we appreciate. And if it is decided that this is set up next to our shop, we just want it on the record that our biggest concern is safety, and safety. It's dark out here. It is not very populated. And I realize there is going to be a camp host, so we appreciate that. But I do appreciate awareness that it is in a not very well lit or well driven area. And sometimes opportunities arise because of that. So we just appreciate any extra security that's offered, whether that be police driving by and so forth, because we have had break-ins here. And so I just want that on the record. But we at Northwest Natural do recognize the issue. We want to be partners and we want to help. However, we also want to keep our own employees safe, as well as the assets that we have that are here in our facility.
Thank you, Tanya. Does the city manager have any comment on that? I trust that you and Tanya have talked before.
We had a really great phone call this morning, and I believe that Tanya was also going to call Councilor Long Curtis for some additional information. So hopefully we answered your initial questions, and as we mentioned on our phone conversation this morning, that we will be monitoring it, and any complaints that we receive we'll address right away. We want to make sure this is a successful program.
Thank you, Julie. Okay, I only got 12 people on my screen. So if anybody else wants to speak, please, you're gonna have to either yell or put a thumbs up on your screen or whatever. Anybody else?
Actually, this is Lisa with the Dalles Area Chamber. Can I go ahead, Mayor Mays?
Yes, Lisa, go ahead.
So I looked at the property that, sorry, my phone, I apologize, glitched just as Julie said the location. So I texted Darcy super quick. And I only have one concern in that area. How are we going to address, because it is very close and on the Riverfront Trail, which is something we send people from out of town and in town. And they are on that trail as soon as it's sunny, even if it's 20 degrees out.
Yeah. Julie, do you have any comment?
I do not have a specific response to that, Lisa, right now. I know that, well, I'm not gonna say I know, I believe that part of the program is that the shelters will primarily be used at night for sleeping. So we don't expect to have a lot of activity there during the day. Councilor Long Curtis, you may correct me if I misstated that.
Counselor Long Curtis, do you have any comment?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of details being worked out, and the resolution gives the city manager the ability to do that, and so that we can work out the best program possible for all residents of the Dalles, whether they're housed or unhoused, and why they're on the trail.
Okay, I just want to make
Thank-
sure, and so thanks for addressing that.
Thank you for your question. Judy Merrill has a question. Judy?
Yes, thank you. This is all really exciting. I have one question regarding the porta potties. I'm glad they're going to be there. And I'm just wondering if they're going to be secured so they cannot be thrown into the river like one was years and years ago from down at the Pocket Park. So are they going to be secured so no one can tip them over or take them away and throw them around? I know that sounds ridiculous, but it happens.
I don't think it sounds ridiculous, but I would suspect that might be a detail that still needs to be worked out. Julie, did you have a comment?
Yeah.
No, that is true. And thank you for that comment, because this is a big learning experience for many of us who are trying to make this a successful program. And I actually personally had not thought about tipping those over. So thank you for that, Judy.
Thank you, Judy. Anybody else? Matt Sikora.
What about the travel trailers or the motor homes that are throughout town? Will they be able to park there and be located there instead of throughout town? Or are they able to, this part of the land able to accommodate vehicles or such that are around community meals and or throughout town throughout the whole town, really? We have one next to McDonald's Lone Pine. We have down by 2nd Street, you could see them when you go off the Discovery Center exit, camping out there. That's kind of a good location, but it's still on city streets.
I would suspect that answer to that question might fall outside the scope of this meeting unless Julie has something else to add to that.
No, not at this moment, Mayor. My only comment to that is this particular site that we're proposing to use for our program will not include motorhomes, recreational vehicles, or trailers. It is only for the shelters.
Okay.
Except for the one for the staff.
Yes, thank you, Counselor. You're
In case you
correct.
see one, that's what it is.
There will be one.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I don't hear or see any other hands up, or nobody's yelling at me to recognize them. So with that, is there any reason we cannot proceed with a vote for the resolution? Anybody on the council?
I'll call for the question, Mr. Mayor.
Call for the question. Would anybody like to make a motion?
And I'll be glad to make the motion.
All right.
Councilor Runyon, go ahead.
Emergency resolution number 20-025, a resolution relating to the homelessness public health crisis and directing the city manager to work collaboratively with any necessary parties towards providing temporary shelter for the city's homeless population.
I'll
Is there a
second that.
second?
Yes, this is Councilman McLaughlin, second.
It's been moved by Councilor Runyon and seconded by Councilor McLaughlin to adopt Resolution 20-025. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
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 McLaughlin.
Aye.
I think I heard all, but is there any noes? Okay, I take that as a unanimous vote to 5-0 to approve the emergency resolution. Is there any other business to come before the city council? With that,
Thank you.
Can I get a clarification on the vote? Like who is everybody in attendance? Are you 100% in attendance?
yes, all 5 members are in attendance and all 5 voted aye. Julie, were you going to say something?
I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for making time in your busy schedule to have this special meeting so we can keep this moving forward.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks to all the people that have contributed to making this program, at least at this point, to go forward with this. So, thank you all very much. And with that, unless there's anybody else, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. Okay, this meeting is hereby adjourned. Thank you all very much for attending, and thank you very much for all your cooperation, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.